right, hello, you fine people. It's the Drinker and Muller. We're right here, coming
Hello.
into your living room slash office slash like the train that you're sitting on the way into work, wherever you happen to be watching this.
Yeah.
Welcome to Last Orders from Open Bar. It was a fantastic stream we did the other night. It was very. We had a packed lineup and we had loads of questions that came our way. And as always, we can get through them, but we are here to answer them. We're going to answer them to your satisfaction because I want you to be satisfied personally by this.
Hell yeah. We had plenty of topics, all kinds of bounciness, and now it's time to calm down and have a look-see at the messages.
Yeah, it was a good stream actually. We just kind of the conversation went here, there, and everywhere, and I was all in for it.
You clipped out the horror portion, I imagine, right?
That's still to go up actually. Probably
Mhm.
tomorrow I'll put that up. But yeah, that was a great little chat. I like that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will do the super chats that we have here. So, Man in the Camel Hat says, Drinker, are your books available in paperback? Yes, they are. You can get them from all good online retailers. I'm not sure about bookshops at this point with the Ryan Drake series because they're like 10 years old. But yeah, you can definitely still get them on Amazon and stuff. So have at it. Um, Stephen D. Deconstruction of modern storytelling has left no heroes anymore, adding to ever-depressing world. We really need shows like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. I see what you did there, a free bit of advertising. But I do agree with the general sentiment. We could do with a few more like old-fashioned heroes,
Oh
I
god,
think.
yeah. I think as an EFAB episode I was talking about, once you stack up on like 1,000 of them, you have the sort of good faith and almost currency to spend on having a few subversions and deconstructions and alternate pathways, even meta or multiverse. But yeah, can we get some just person saves another person? Can we just have that?
Yeah.
That'd
Not
be
not
chill.
everything has to be deconstructed and not
Yeah.
everything has to be subverted. So just calm down a little bit. Flav says in the UK, which is set to double its film capacity in the next decade, they currently offer this. Film tax relief is now available at 25% of qualifying film production expenditures, regardless of budget. That's really good, actually,
Mm.
because if you're talking about a mega budget like 300 million, that's going to save you a ton of money. Cool. Snex says, you mentioned British comedy shows. Have you ever seen The Goes Wrong Show? Curious of your thoughts. Cheers. Have never seen that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, neither have I.
I'm in the sort of camp of like Faulty Towers, Blackadder, Red Dwarf, Only Fools and Horses, Are You
Oh,
Being
that's Ed.
Served, and that sort of thing. I really need to watch more of Yes Minister. I never quite like found the time for that, but that's
Did
meant
you
to be
watch
like properly sharp.
do you ever watch My Family or My Hero?
Don't think so.
I quite
What's
enjoyed
that?
both of them. They're both British, just sort of sitcoms. Um, I forget the name of the actor, but in Father Ted, he's one of the priests. I think his name begins with an A. Angus
Ardo
something.
O'Hanlon.
Ardlo Hanlon. That's it. Yeah, he's the main character in My Hero, and he's funny as fuck.
Oh, is he
The
like a
the
superhero?
yeah, the premise is just literally he's a superhero, but what does his home life look like, basically?
Right. Yeah, I remember it. I would kind of catch the occasional episode. I just wasn't like a dedicated viewer.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fine. Like he's a good fun comedy actor, you know.
he is
Uh,
indeed.
Canon Folderall, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil, then you are based. Oh yeah, that was the Jedi thing that Chris was telling us about, like the diversity and equity thing. Yeah, how dare you take that name? Dr. Kaiju, howdy drinker and friends. What are your favorite cocktails and your favorite alcohol brands for mixing? I'm learning up on my tiki bar mixology. Cheers. Well, for me, favorite cocktails probably a Negroni or an old fashioned, and occasionally White Russian if I'm fancying if I fancy getting a bit creamy with it. Yeah, I can't drink many of them because I don't generally like sweet cocktails. So yeah, that's for special occasions. But yeah, those would be my top picks probably. I don't mind an espresso martini as well if I need a little pick me up. I don't know about you, More.
Oh, I defer to you on all of that. In fact, if I am to go out drinking with you, I'm just gonna let you decide. Especially like naming things that I've never drank before that you'd be like, "Oh no, you'll like that, you'll like that." But you know what I
Yeah,
don't like, so it'll be fine.
yeah, yeah.
Get me all
Well, that's
day drinks.
a dangerous thing to let into your life, allowing me to pick your drinks for sure. Matt PG says, "Is anyone really that underrepresented anymore in 2024?" I mean, I'm struggling to think of anyone really. Like if I tried to pick a group,
Well, how about like I don't know, interesting characters, a bit underdeveloped,
yeah,
underrepresented.
well-written characters. I think Welsh people are a bit chronically underrepresented
Yeah,
on
but
screen.
not only does nobody care, the Welsh don't care. Like, you know, if they were like, we need more Welsh, we're just like, no, we're fine.
It was funny when I watched Echo, right, and there's that random Welsh henchman in it, and I thought, oh, Muller's going to love this. And then when I told you, you were like, what the fuck? He was
What's even
Welsh?
funnier about that is I completely missed it, 'cause I was thinking about other things. Even when he described the thing as, because I went and found it when you said he describes someone as lush, I
Yeah.
completely ignore it, and Rags even says lush. What does he mean? That's not how is this like this place green and blah, blah, blah. I just ignore him completely 'cause I'm thinking about something else, and it's just like, oh, I could have explained what lush is, but oh well.
Yeah. Oh, you could have given him such a great insight into Welsh dialogue, but well,
Yep.
such a shame. Stephen D says, do you guys ever get tired of nagging super chats? I'd get so annoyed I'd get away from it all and watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place to clear my mind. Man, you're just not going to let this go, are you? Like, suffering from constipation? A nice dose of Darth Marenghi's Dark Place will sort you out. Yeah, D says, do you guys know Film Industry Watch, which does exposés on the film festival circuit? For example, how Sundance charges $80 per short film, but don't watch submissions. Google it, a very important
Wow.
org. That is
They don't
really
watch
shitty.
them? Not even one person there? Just to make sure, you know?
I know, because there could be anything in it, really.
Damn.
God. I have heard, like, you know, little veiled comments about how the festival circuit is just totally, like, corrupt and it's all just nepotism and stuff now, and who, you know, there's no real merit to any of it, which is such a shame because that used to be a real proving ground for, like, directors to get it, like, discovered. You know, a lot of these people would cut their teeth in Sundance and stuff, and that's what leads to, like, big Hollywood directing gigs. And it's just, yeah, if you don't even have that pipeline anymore, like, where does your good quality artistry come from? The answer is they get cast. Rud Thunderheart says George Orwell predicted this almost 100 years ago. He's turning in his grave because 1984 wasn't meant to be a manual for running a country. Canada. Well, there you go. Beard says, this is why I don't buy into the lesser of two evils. A small step towards hell is still a step towards hell. That's very true.
Right. Usually the point, though, is that there's no other option, right? Typically. Or rather, that the bigger evil gets to escape if you don't go with the lesser evil.
I suppose so. I guess what he's suggesting is that, like, you know, if faced with two difficult choices, then pick the third or something. Like, you know,
Yeah,
maybe
no.
there's always a way out or something. But
I'll tell you what, I love it when they build up a story that has the two bad choices and then they come up with a third that was well set up and involves, like, sacrifice, whatever. I fucking hate it when they invent one on the spot that just means you don't have to do the two bad things. It's like, that's great. I'm so lucky
yes,
that happened.
yeah. Shitty writing. You gotta love it. Jacob Lau says, I hope that Elon bankrupts himself fighting the corpos. I mean, at this rate, he probably is gonna, and I don't think he cares. That's the funny thing. Marine Lad says, what films are your top original screenplays? I don't know. Like, what are we talking? Like, something that just came out of nowhere, like non-franchise, like just an original movie? I don't know. I'd probably say, like, just in terms of the strength of the scripts, I fucking love Tremors. I use it all the time as an example of, like, how to write a brilliantly tight screenplay that introduces all your main characters, the threat, the world, the rules, and the limitations of everything that you're dealing with within
Yeah.
the first, like, 20 minutes. It's so efficient.
Similar in a vein. I actually would put these two in a similar camp. I'm not sure what I would describe the camp as, but Tremors would be one, and Hot Fuzz is just easily one of the best original screenplays ever.
Yep. I might
Unbelievably
put
good.
Dog Soldiers in there as well, you know,
Yeah, it's kind of a
because
weird category. It's like, what is this? It's like, I don't know, like films that just they nail what they're doing, but what they're doing is very unique.
yeah, our category is just like, hey, well written films. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's quite a rare category now. Um, is Haplo says Synth was right about Ragnarok, Mauler. You'll see. Is that like Synthetic Man?
Guys, we went through his argument. He barely even played the game. He didn't know what happened in it. He can't be right. He was already wrong. What you're worried about, I guess, is the Sweet Baby Ink thing being attached to Ragnarok, which, like, me and Dragon played through it, the whole thing.
Yeah,
There's not going to
I
be.
can vouch. It's not woke. It's not woke. Trust us.
I don't know what to. I can't help you, people. If it's like, you'll understand one day. It's like, what do you mean? I did like a full. I did 3 playthroughs and then the 11-hour breakdown of the story, and then we covered his whole video extensively. Like, what else do you want from me? All the
it's not
arguments
enough more. You need to go
all
deeper.
right.
Peter Garumbi says, hello, if any of you are in the mood for good Canadian content, I'd like to recommend Shoresy, a comedy show about a foul-mouthed hockey player trying to save a failing hockey team. It's a hilarious show and it's worth a watch. Can you get foul-mouthed Canadians? I just can't believe that such a thing happens.
Sounds like it's made up.
I once had a Canadian say to me, like, what the frick is going on? Excuse my French. God bless him. DDK says Spider-Man gets hit by truck kun. The new world is 12th century Skyrim realm. Where's my money? What?
I don't.
Yeah, okay. Ronan the Crusader. Endymion on the panel again? Heck yes. Also, it was good seeing you at MegaCon, Drinker. Agree to disagree on Godzilla, but I meant every word when I said I trust your reviews more than the mainstream. Here's for a drink. Thank you very much, man, and I'll raise a glass to you. Or a bottle in this case.
That's what it's all about. Yeah, we all have.
That's the thing, like, people, I guess, you don't have to agree with me on everything, but at least you can, like, recognize I'm coming at it from a place of, like, fairness and honesty as much as I can. So, you know, I can only give you my honest opinions.
Yeah, because I caught the comments on the unlisted version of the stream. I was really disappointed to see someone say, like, you know, Morley, you should understand, like, you're trying to defend Chris, but what he told us, he recommended The Flash, and it was horrible. That's what's happening here. I was just sitting there like, whoa, I don't care if he recommends a bad film. He's being honest with us. Chris told us that what was in there he liked. Like, that's fine. I have no problem with this. Like, what would you rather, that he sees it, likes it, and then doesn't tell anyone that because he finds, like, oh no, this will be an unpopular film. I better not say what I thought. Like, fuck that world. I hate that world.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give your fair takes on things. As long as you can reason it out.
I told people exactly how I felt about Prey when watching it, and then, you know, enough time passes, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I now get to understand why I felt it, why I said it, and why my mind has changed. That's a way better world than me being like, I don't know, newest entry in a franchise we all agree has been destroyed. I may as well just hate it.
Yeah. Give it a chance, I guess. You know.
That's the factor I think we all want to look for. Just being honest and doing your best to represent your perspective as best you can with understanding your own feelings. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Zax the Defiler says, I drive for a living, so I can only listen and never super chat. It's catch-up time. Nice. I mean, I hope this doesn't mean you, like, drove off the road or something and, like, you're texting from the wreckage of your truck. But yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he crashed his car. He's like, may as well super chat.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm bleeding out pretty rapidly. I'll try and get a couple of super chats in. Damn, we went dark there. Tagmon says, to be fair with Angerboda, she was described as being dark-skinned in the Prose Edda. Wow, I did not know that.
Angerboda is awkward because I don't know anything about her aspect of Norse mythology, and I don't know what the shape-shifting element of the giants were capable of. And then she's a character, I assume you'd agree, Drinker, she's pretty, like, like, she you could take her or leave her sort of thing. She's just sort of around.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't really do a huge amount, but, like, I didn't have a problem with her personality or anything. She seemed nice enough, I suppose.
No, she's a nice person who wants to help save the world. There's no lines that are, like, hyper cringe or socio-politically charged from her. She's just like, oh, her whole deal is that she wants to be more involved because she feels inadequate compared to her ancestors. She feels like she wouldn't be able to have as much of effect on history. She's only the one to help people get to their sort of endpoint stuff. It's a fine little story. My big issue is they spend way too long with her because her section's kind of boring. Like,
it's just a follow quest, isn't it? Really, like, she leads you from place to place, and there's not a huge amount to do. It's just like a walking simulator while you get through your conversation bits.
Yeah, and then of course there's the whole, like, disrespects by being unfaithful to Norse. It's like, I assume you know some of the memes about Norse mythology, right? In terms of what they did not adapt properly, quote unquote. It gets wacky in Norse.
Like, oh yeah. They had some wild beliefs. It was great.
Yeah, it's just like, of course they didn't adapt a lot of this. Like, how the fuck do you get some of this into a video game? It's not happening.
And this is why I think, you know, the game can get away with certain aspects like that. It's like, okay, you know, it's Norse mythology, but you've got this dark-skinned character there. It's like, well, she belongs to an entirely different species of living creatures, kind of existing within a different dimension as well. So, like, I can totally buy into the fact that, like, you can get all different colors and creeds of people in that world.
We met what we could argue like maybe 200 Asgardians on screen, maybe more. I'm probably underestimating that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the vast majority were white. All the
As I remember, yeah.
significant gods are white. So, like, if someone was to say, like, "Oh, it's clearly infected and ruined by it," it's like, don't you think they would have done more than that if that was if they were
Yeah.
fully infected?
And the problem I have with this as well, like when you pick up on hypercritical stuff like this, it undermines your arguments when you're going to try and like point out genuine stuff. Like I guess the Suicide Squad game would be a good example of like
Ugh.
just complete disrespect of legacy characters in favor of like pushing certain agendas and elevating certain groups. And then you've almost shot yourself in the foot because people will say like, "Oh, you're the guys who had a problem with this fucking random character who's in the game for 15 minutes." You know, it's you've got to kind of have a bit of perspective, I think, with stuff like this and pick your battles and consider the stuff that's actually important, because this is how you end up losing the battle for the gaming industry, and it's not a battle that I want to see lost.
And I think you miss out on something that you probably would have enjoyed. I've said again and again, God of War Ragnarok's quite inspiring. It's quite a neat story. I love what it has to say about like trying to bring people back from pathways that they've faltered on. And the whole thing, 2018 and Ragnarok, it keeps covering like parenthood and the importance of guiding your children properly or
Yeah,
letting them fall away on a pathway that can destroy them. What they did with Thor, for example, it's like I thought that was brilliant.
yeah, I liked it. And I can tell you this much as well. My experience of playing the Dead Space remake was not ruined by the presence of a sign for a gender neutral bathroom. I was
You
able
be
to get past
careful
that.
drinking and piss everyone off.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those things, like if I hadn't seen it like on social media, I never would have even spotted it in the game. I would have probably just walked right past it and not even noticed it.
Well,
So
because 90% of your time is spent with these horrifying monsters trying to kill you, and you're sawing off like parts of their body, splattering blood everywhere, and desperately running
it's
around a
so
dark
fun.
space. It is fucking awesome.
I really want to play now, actually. Damn.
Oh, it's an easy
Uh,
replay. Yeah,
yeah. Marine Lad says, "Have you seen The Iron Claw? A great written drama." It only just came out in the UK, so I'm going to see it very soon.
yeah. Everyone
But yeah, it's
recommends
meant
it.
to be
So
really
yeah.
good. So yeah, I'm in the mood for another good movie. So hopefully it lives up to it. Zack's the Defiler. I know you barely get any recommendations. Yeah, of course. So I'll throw a couple of video games your way. Tales of Berseria and Frostpunk are perhaps my two favorite games that I've ever played. Nice. I
All
mean, I
right.
can truthfully say I've never heard of either one of those games. I assume they're PC or something.
I've heard of
But
Frostpunk, but I don't think I ever played it. Sounds like a cool
hmm,
name though, doesn't it?
it does. Frostpunk. Yeah. Forget your steampunk. This is all the way the cold.
Mm-hmm.
MG gave us a £2 super chat. Thanks, man. Rory Swain says, "Hail to the drinker. Just curious if you know any Gaelic, and if you could say a few phrases. Hope you're keeping well." The only Gaelic that I know is Slanjavar. Oh, there you go. I'll do it now.
Dude, you know a whole language based after gay. Damn.
Gay.
Gay.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Like, I don't think you speak Welsh either. Really, I don't speak Gaelic. Not
No,
much of
the key phrase that I always remember is "Rodoin Halfie Coffee," which is "I like coffee" in Welsh.
That's
It
a
is
good one.
funny.
Yeah. No Homes give us $2, so thanks. Is Haplo says Angelus was based, if you really think about it.
In
Angelus
Buffy,
was Angelus.
Angelus is based. I mean,
Uh,
his main plan was just cause as much pain as possible. That was what his. So I don't know. Like
Based.
base.
Destroying the world. Based.
Hell yeah.
Lee Kindler. Somebody needs to throw a bunch of money at S. Craig Zahler and LWT him make another film already. Okay, sure. Stephen Lee says, "Can you believe the great Pharaoh blessed my crop yield?" And hello, everyone. Excellent. Good good on you, man.
Yeah.
Rod Thunderheart says, "Muller's right. Edison stole the idea, but saying that, he was the mob boss of inventors and shocked an elephant to prove that DC was better than Tesla's AC."
I want.
That is true. Yeah, I heard about that.
Well, before the record, like I didn't say. I just said like, didn't he question marking? Because I genuinely don't know, and I've heard lots of things that go all different kinds of directions. Everyone knows about the Edison Tesla stuff, right? Like, so it's it's even presented in the Prestige as like a plot point that actually affects the story. So I would just go as far as saying, like, I've heard stuff. I would never want to claim confidently that he either stole it or he invented it. I'd just be like, I don't know. I'm not sure. So I wouldn't use Edison inventing the light bulb as an analogy to prove anything, because I'm not sure of the story exactly. That's all.
Yeah, but we do know that he shocked animals to discredit Tesla's ideas about AC. So, yeah, history's greatest bastard.
Yeah.
You heard it here. Spartan Bot says the on-screen talent for Gunn is less concerning than the writing talent. Tom Kins specifically. Oh, is he going to be doing the Superman movie? Well,
Yeah. I mean, that's the movie where, like, we're all developing very big opinions of it, and I'm just like, I think that even the trailer that'll eventually come out, I'll be like, gonna have to wait for that movie, man. That's
yeah,
gonna be it, and we can all figure out what the fuck the fate of the DC universe again is gonna be.
yeah. How many times can something die before it's just, you don't try and resurrect it again? I don't know.
I was about to say, Star Wars, but
Yeah. Albert Nada Retro. Chris wondered why Xena is liked and Captain Marvel isn't. Xena was looking for redemption and had flaws. Who is still watching the MCU after they mocked men being sexually assaulted in Thor: Love and Thunder? Yeah, not many people these days, it seems. But yeah, Xena was a very flawed character with a dark history and who'd done really bad things and actually had to atone for them in the course of the show. It's crazy, I know, but that's how it works, and that's how you
well,
build up a bit of like empathy for a character.
it's funny to be like, compare Xena to Captain Marvel. It's like, why? Because they're women and they're both strong. You'd be like, you may as well, but like, it's so unfair to Captain Marvel. You may as well say, like, why do people hate Captain Marvel but like Phil Mitchell from EastEnders? You're like, well, because like one of them has something to care about, the other one doesn't.
Why is Phil Mitchell not in the MCU? I'm genuinely paid to see that.
That would have been a decent choice, and it would have
Like
attracted a whole new audience. But oh well.
like in Endgame, where all the heroes walk through the portals, and then fucking Phil Mitchell just walks in out of
With like a
Albert Square,
crowbar,
like what?
right?
Gunnar says they showed Fighter here, but skipped the intermission. Jai Hind out of 10 movie, hilarious action. Oh, there must be a Bollywood movie. Big Dowley says, Shagger's question, how ruthless can I be on a man's character and his creative inadequacies on a YouTube vid without getting in trouble with YouTube, or if I'm lucky, the person themselves? P.S. His name rhymes with Cuckman. Oh, God.
Well, I mean, you say whatever you want, but do it within reason, I guess, right? Like, you don't need to ruin the whole man's life. He's just a bit cringe when it comes to movie opinions. That's all.
I guess my advice would be like, criticize something stupid like the size of his nose or something like that. Like, if you're going to criticize something, criticize the things he said or done. The things he actually has control over.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I guess, don't make it personal. It should just be about their whatever they've presented, their points of view on certain things or whatever. I think that's the best way to do it. Zach's the Defiler. I believe there's a law in California that says you can't fire somebody for their political beliefs, probably enacted to protect communists in the 50s and 60s, which is a bit ironic now. I don't know. I don't know the finer points of Californian law, so I couldn't make a ruling on that. I mean, I'm pretty, just as a basis of common sense, I suppose, it seems unreasonable that you can fire someone just because you don't like their political beliefs. But yeah, I would assume Disney would try and make some kind of argument in favor of she was damaging the reputation of the company or something. But I don't know if it'll even get to that point. It could just be settled out of court, more than likely. Torgo the White says the analog for Gina and Elon Musk isn't Johnny and Amber Heard, it's Hulk Hogan and Peter Thiel against Gawker Media. Okay. Big Daddy MRI says, don't forget the sexual discrimination part of the suit. That carries a lot of weight in California. Yeah, I mean, I guess her argument seems to be that, guys like Pedro Pascal were allowed to free reign to say what they wanted, whereas she was persecuted for it. So you could perhaps claim sexual or sexual discrimination there, maybe. Is Haplo says, everyone laughed at Elon for X. Who's laughing now? Well, I mean, I don't think X is doing terribly well, like in terms of their revenue, because they have
Yeah.
lost quite a bit of money. But I think the usage is sky high because there is a bit more freedom on it. Unfortunately, there seems to be a lot more like spam bullshit on it. Like I'm getting sick of these posts are getting like 100,000 likes, and then
Yeah.
when you see it, like the first like 100 comments will just be like spam bullshit. Um, and Vex says, so the Gina situation has an unexplored aspect. I wonder how Shinoi feminist activist is looking at the company she keeps at Lucasfilm. Probably doesn't mind too much, I guess. I'm sure she'll say all the correct things. Kaiser Franz Joseph says, for me, Warhammer 40k is the last bastion for Western gaming books and shows because it's the only franchise that I know and love that hasn't gone woke until now. What franchise do you all love have not become woke until now? So, franchises that we like that haven't been tarnished. That
Wait,
list is getting pretty thin.
this is a trick. They're making us list the ones that they can then destroy.
You're not going to get us that easy. It's going to have to be old stuff that hasn't been touched in a long time, I suppose.
One of the two I always mention, which we can sort of figure out why they're not touched yet, but it doesn't change the fact that they're untouched, is Back to the Future and Gremlins. They're both
Yes.
safe for now.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, that's kind of the best we've got right now.
like that's how a big old like secret chest. You can't get these two.
Well, because I feel like everything else has been pilfered already because they're so desperate to make money, they'll just raid all of these old franchises and all of these old IPs and resurrect them. And
Mm.
they've done it for so long now that they've essentially used up everything.
Well, yeah, we went through that era of them picking up stuff that we were like, "What the hell? You're making a like Willow, for example." It's like, "Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
want to do more Willow?" And then they annihilated it. Like, nice.
bottom of the barrel time. I'll never get over like how hilarious it is that they just deleted the entire show from their servers.
I mean, you watched it, right? It was so embarrassing watching that show. It was so
Oh, good
pathetic.
lord, yeah. Poor Warwick.
Mm.
But yeah, 40k. I guess the real test is going to be when it gets turned into a TV show because there's quotas that they have to fulfill and there's representation that they have to do, and you're going to struggle with that in the Warhammer 40k universe. So, good luck, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Senor Hones says, two very large women are sitting across from me. I say, I like your accents, ladies. Are you from Scotland? One of them yells, it's Wales, you idiot. So I said, okay, are you Wales from Scotland? So you did that. Good one. Mike Gayer says, idea. They can settle out of court. Gina versus Kathleen in a 5-minute pay-per-view match in the Octagon. No holds barred. All proceeds go to the winner. I pay $500 alone to watch that one. I feel like that's a bit unfair, personally, much as it might be an entertaining match to watch. Putting a former cage fighter against a 70-year-old woman is probably
Hmm.
kind of brutal. Marine Lad says, morning panel, what advice do you have for young men 18 to 35 in this age? And what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self? Also, what makes a good male? Christ, that's a broad one.
Damn.
Yeah, it's like, how can you fix the world, drinker?
Yeah. In 5 words or less.
What advice would I give to my 18-year-old self? Probably there's going to be this thing that you're going to hear about eventually called YouTube. Get in there early and start
Yeah.
making stuff. Don't wait until you're like 35.
And not to be generic, but I would tell myself like hard work pays off. Seriously, work really hard.
Yeah.
It's it'll be worth it.
And I suppose that advice applies to young men now. Just yeah, stick at what you're doing. Find the things that you really care about. Make the time to pursue whatever avenues you can to turn that into a career. And yeah, and don't give up because eventually you will get there.
Never stop fighting.
Yeah. Is Haplo says Elon lost his son to the alphabet mafia, hence X. I heard about that. Yeah. Sander Brand says representation is bullshit. As a man, I could relate with Bridget Jones. A 30-year-old wants to find meaning in life. Gender doesn't matter. The story is what counts. That is very true. Yeah. It's this crazy idea that we can empathize with people who don't look or sound exactly like us. It's crazy, but it's true.
You know, Chris Gore was saying they now have to hire based on, so you know, if you have a black character, you have to hire a black voice actor. If you have a gay character, it has to be a gay voice actor. You have to line them all up. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, if if it's a robot or an alien reptile, like, you're gonna run out of people quick, because once you've hired Mark Zuckerberg and Hillary Clinton a few times, like, you basically run out. Like,
It's true. I mean, it's like, when does the insanity end? It's just, if you want to take it to its logical endpoint, yeah, you're going to get into stupid situations like that. Doc says, thanks for coming to MegaCon. I want to express my gratitude once more for taking the time to make that video for my friend. He's currently facing a challenging period, and your video truly lifted his spirits. Thank you so much for your kindness. No, thank you, man. And yeah, I wish the best for your friend, because I know he's facing some health challenges right now. So yeah, I hope he pulls through and makes a full recovery, man. So my best wishes to him. Lord Bothas says, the most entertaining outcome is most likely Elon. He's going to buy it. Well, it would be entertaining, that's for sure.
oh yeah.
Albert Nada Retro. Lee Harvey Oswald took out the wrong Kennedy. Ooh, brutal. Irish Trash says, if they blame Chapek, Gina can call Chapek as a material witness. Does Disney want that? I don't know if they could, actually, because is he not going to be bound by an NDA or something as a former executive? I suppose a court order would supersede that for sure, if he's compelled to give evidence. Nick Confer says, Musk genuinely has vision. I also think Gina cares about making a difference. They're taking this the distance. Always great to see Baggage Claim on. Agree on all counts, yes. Great to have Baggage Claim on as well. Always nice to talk to her.
She's been giving me updates as she goes through Buffy. Everyone's so
yeah. It's quite the journey. Is Haplo says, can't wait to binge watch the new Disney Plus show, Gina's Trial. Could you imagine if they screened that on Disney Plus?
Imagine they animated it. It's like Pixar.
Far to be well, if we go to those standards that you mentioned earlier, she would have to voice herself in the animated version, so let's work for her there. Fartleby Shock Chucker the Fourth says, Disney buying a stake in Epic isn't just about Fortnite. Unreal Engine 5 SDKs for Vision Pro and Quest development allow Iger the foothold to be an ersatz technocrat for Disney content in the MR metaverse. Wow, that was quite a salad there of words, but yeah, I think I get what you're saying. It's like an instant big tech company, I suppose. Potentially. It's just, I love the idea of like a man in his mid-70s thinking he can understand what this stuff is. He seems to have been like blown away by the idea that video games are a big industry now. It's like, last time I checked, the Atari 2600 was going strong. It's like, okay. Mikey Angelo says, sup lads, hope all is well. In the scenario where Elon Musk happens to purchase Disney, I hope he clears house like he did with Twitter, incompetent dogs. I mean, he'd have to, I think, because he seems to hate it so much that he would just out of pure spite fire most of the people there.
Like, if we were handed full control over Disney, I would be like, so lawyers, how easily can we just wipe out the company?
Yeah.
And it would be like, whoa, what do you mean? I'd be like, not well. I mean, I want it functional, and I want to, make things with our IPs, but the creative teams, they got to go. So how we doing that? It'd probably happen over the course of a year or something, right? Like letting people go, moving things around.
I think it would have to be, yeah, you'd need like an orderly transition to bring other people in to replace them, and it would be an easy thing to do. But yeah, I feel like that's what you would need in order to turn Disney around as a company. There's so many bad apples there. Sean Vincic says, a race swap isn't a bad thing so long as it isn't the point and fits with the plot and world. I mean, I can kind of get behind that idea, I suppose. Like, the one we often like forget about is like, okay, Nick Fury is a race swap character, but nobody really minded that much because Samuel Jackson really nailed it.
Yeah.
So I guess things like that can work, I suppose. Alex Waddington says, how's it going down there, Chris? Is that because he was at the bottom of the screen? I'm not sure. Intelligent Crayon Eater says, solution to the girl boss trope, bring back the draft and make it apply to women and see how quickly the male warrior hero saving the day is brought back into vogue and warrior women disappear. Magic. Yeah. Yeah, they want equality until it doesn't work in their favor. Joel Eats Coal out of the bowl says, hello, it's me. I'm happy to watch the bar live. Okay, much love now. Bye. Short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
Bye, guy. Drinker. If Mueller had to do a full breakdown, good or bad, any movie, what would you have him do? Mueller gets to choose 3 for you because long. Okay, so if I had to pick a movie and forced you to do like an unbridled something on it, what would it be? Oh, gosh. We don't want to punish you and make you watch a terrible film or something glorious. I don't actually know. I feel like yeah, we're already doing the Star Trek movies because I've always been interested to hear your thoughts on them. So we're kind of getting that as we go. It's like an impromptu, unbridled something, I suppose. Deep delve into
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I'll go with I'll just go with like an old faithful. I'll pick something like Aliens because I don't think we ever talked about that really. And it would
No,
be interesting to hear your
we
thoughts.
haven't done Aliens. Yeah, because you've talked about it a couple of times. Obviously, I have on EFAP, but we've not done
Yeah.
anything because that's you know it's always in my running for one of the just top movies of all time. It's I fucking love that script, but
Yeah.
yeah, well that's fair. They said I got to pick three that you
Yeah.
would do. The funny thing is, a lot of the ones that I would want you to cover, you have covered, and the
Oh, cool.
fucking last thing I want to do is name one, and you're like, I have done that. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, shit. It was like, what would I want to see you do? It would probably have to be, yeah, you know what? I mean, this may sound like a cop out, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of your favorite episodes from TV shows. So like Farscape or well, Star Trek, like TNG, or
Okay.
because I'm not 100% sure on what all your favorite TV shows are, but I kind of like the you know what's funny about it is like you do a typical, let's say 10-minute on average breakdown of like a film, whatever. When it's a TV show episode, it's like, haha, you're probably gonna have to go deeper now because it's only 40 minutes you have to work with. So
Hmm.
you're gonna have to dig into them characters and reference stuff from a while ago, and I enjoy it, especially because it's like like the Farscape one you did. That like partially was making me like, oh shit, I should watch Farscape again. You know, it's like it's fun when it does that.
Yeah. No, I think that would make for quite an interesting series of videos actually. Just like pick the best of each show that's like, my favorite. It's like, okay, what's the one of the best episodes, the best example of this show that does everything right? I think that could be a lot of fun. All right, leave that with me. I'll see what I can do.
Mm.
Um Bada Bing Bada Bang says, have you tried Obliterated in Netflix? Yeah, not yet. Armani
Ooh.
Wilson says, great to meet and hang out in Orlando. I drank the correct amount of whiskey. Glad you brought the open bar to Orlando. Yeah, it was great. Some absolute legend, I think, did just open the bar and say, like, yeah, drinks are on me. So I'm sorry to his bank balance, I guess, for what happened. um, Go Hotline says, Fortnite is a fantastic gameplay and vibe wise. If Disney ruin it with intersectionality, it would be utter tragedy. P.S. Monica Rambeau. Yeah. Um, Fortnite, I mean, like, how much can you really work into it? Because it doesn't have a huge amount of storyline to it, does it? It's just a shoot 'em up.
Does
So,
it have like a campaign mode? It did have that thing with the Emperor announced the new Star Wars movie in it, right?
I think it has events.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, every at the end of every season, as far as I understand, there'll be like a big public event that just kind of moves the overall world forward a little bit, and it'll just introduce like a bit of terrain or something that's different. But yeah, in terms of like a deep storyline to it, I don't think there's too much to work with. But hey, I could be wrong. Sorry to all the Fortnite people out there.
Hmm.
But I assume my audience is like men in their 20s and 30s, so probably not too many Fortnite players here. Um,
Maybe.
Zax the Defiler says weapons are the great equalizer for women fighting. The more advanced the weapon, the more even the fight is. Well, yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue with a gun, I suppose. Like, you don't have to be particularly strong to use it, you just point and shoot. Um, that one guy says George R.R. Martin, George R.R. Martin isn't a writer. He's an anti-writer because he hates the hero arc. Spencer Clavan had a great thread on this. Yeah, I mean, I think from what I've heard, like his ethos behind the Game of Thrones series was to subvert Tolkien because he hated that idea of classic, heroic archetypes in fantasy, and he wanted something that was much more morally grey and gritty and grounded and stuff.
I haven't seen anything saying he hates it, but I understand the perspective of what happens when a character like Aragorn is given really difficult challenges that are political and social like repercussions. Right? One of his quotes is something like, "What did he do with the orcs? Did he hunt them all down and kill them all?"
What was
You
his
know,
tax policy? That's one of
yeah,
the
well,
things he said.
and the thing about it is when you say that, like, when he says that outside of what he's thinking about, it sounds stupid. It's like, what do you, Lord of the Rings like is a complete story. I don't care what, like, what are you talking about? 50 years from now, an Aragorn does a policy that has repercussions he didn't foresee. It's like, what? I'm not that. And then it's like, I'm gonna go make my own story where I kind of cover those things. Like, that's great. Okay.
I think, yeah, and it's to some extent it's fine because like both perspectives work. You know, if you want to write just a traditional heroic
Yeah.
fantasy series where like the good guys triumph and you don't want to think too much about the nitty gritty of running a kingdom because there's bigger things to deal with in your story, that's fine. Obviously, guys like Tolkien proved that that can definitely work. And if you want to take the opposite point of view and like really delve into like how would this stuff play out in a relatively believable world? Again, George R.R. Martin found a way to make that work for sure. Arguably a bit too much to the point where he now can't finish his series because he's made it way too convoluted and huge. But either
Yeah.
perspective is okay from a literary point of view. I guess it's just the implementation is what defines whether it's successful or not.
I would say it's like this feels like a back and forth school of thought thing. Like it starts with someone being like, I'm gonna make a story where there's a guy who saves everybody, and that in a way, my point of my story is that hopefully we can all learn something from the guy who puts everything on the line to do the right thing. Then someone comes along and goes, those people don't exist. The world is
True.
filled with foul, selfish, blah, blah, blah. My story is going to reflect that because we need some realism. We need some grounded elements so that we can know how to navigate this world instead of pretending like everything's fine. And then the next person's like, holy shit, man, your story's depressing. I'm going to have a character who's like inspirational and he's going to save people and we can all aspire to be that. And then the next guy is like, that guy, even if he did exist, he would be torn down by the world. He would be, just like on and on and on. You're just like, okay. And yeah, genuinely, I am in a state where I'm like, I really want some very straight up inspirational and aspirational characters. I've had my fill of deconstructions and subversions. Not to say they're not welcome. The best ones, of course, still welcome. I just like it's so funny to me that someone would be like, boring. Your hero is just strong, big, fast, and he wants to help people. I'd be like, when was the last time we had that?
I know that's become the innovative new idea of just doing a really old idea that's been done forever. But it's like, yeah, like you say, we've been so long without it, and I think there is something. I don't know, man. There's just something good for the soul to get characters
Yeah.
like that occasionally. You know, maybe they're not the most like cutting edge, original, and always believable kind of characters, but it's sometimes nice to have something aspirational like that and just think, you know what, there are good people in the world, and it's nice to see it occasionally.
Yeah, I think that'd be nice. Not to say we don't have any, by the way. I think a lot of people see Reacher as that, right? Like he's a guy who's just trying to do the right thing, and he's pretty strong, inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly strong physically. He does have a little bit of moral grey to him in terms of like how much pain and suffering he's willing to inflict on people. But yeah, generally he's got a strict moral code that he tends to adhere to as much as he can. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is nice to see. Flying Paladin says Drinker is racist against the Welsh. Well, that's clearly not possible because the Welsh are not a race; they don't actually exist. I don't
Oh, I thought
believe
you were
it.
just gonna say they're not people, and I was like, it's hard to argue with
Yeah.
that.
Adam Milne says, what does everyone think about Legally Blonde? I watched it for the first time a week ago and thought it was hot garbage with a couple of good jokes. I mean, you're asking the wrong guy here. I don't feel like Legally Blonde is my type of film, I'm afraid.
I saw it possibly because of my sister being interested in it when I was super young. Don't remember it. Maybe me and Drinker will rewatch it to discover whether Legally Blonde is good. I know that's a lot of people want to know the answer to that question. So
I mean, that's what everyone's hounding us for, I think. Yeah. The
the one
ultimate
video
question.
that you would say, like, yeah, the one unbridled rage I was like, gotta get that Legally Blonde coverage from
Really drill down into what makes it tick. Casey Boyd, remember the South Park episode making fun of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? What would that episode look like for Dial of Destiny? I mean, it's essentially the
No.
same concept, isn't it? Just like raping Indiana Jones and defiling everything that made him good. So
I do. They probably had that conversation where they're like, we've kind of done that. Like, so is there any point to it? And I just think, even if a point has been made before, it doesn't mean we shouldn't make it again. And I would probably go as far as recommending, like, why not just have them baseball bat hitting like a puddle of blood, and that's all that's left of Indiana Jones, like, being a dead horse taken to the next level.
or like, pouring salt onto his grave or something, or gasoline and setting it on fire. um, Also from Casey Boyd. Drinker, what is the line between you enjoying a film and giving it a drinker recommends? I saw you liked The Killer, but didn't give it a recommends. Yeah, so that I feel like this is a little bit of a distinction, and it's sometimes quite a fine one. So it's probably good to try and define it. I think I would only give the drinker recommends if I felt like it was either a film of considerable merit artistically, or something that I felt was relatively free of flaws or problems. No film's perfect, obviously, but to the point where I think, that was damn good. That was a tight screenplay, or that was a really well constructed film, or something that perhaps just really moved me quite deeply. All of those, I think, would be the criteria for giving it a drinker recommends. And I think if you look back as well, probably before I started doing my extra shots series, there was quite a lot of older films there. Just films that I had really good memories of watching, and then rewatched them to review them, and thought, yeah, that holds up pretty well. I'm going to give that a drinker recommends. So it's a little bit of a fine, like, subjective criteria, I suppose, where it transitions from just being a good film to like a drinker recommends. And I think from the point of view of The Killer, I'm just trying to think back what my criticisms might have been. Yeah, possibly that it's I don't know if there's like a middle act part where it slows down a little bit, to the point where I was like, okay, you could probably have more going on here just to get the plot moving forward a bit more. But yeah, I think that was probably why I didn't quite get a drinker recommends, or maybe just I watched it and I wasn't like moved by it in the same way I would be with other films. Like One Life would be a good example of a film that just really got me, and so I was in the cinema like, yeah, that's definitely a drinker recommends. I feel like people should definitely watch this movie, and they'll be better off for seeing it. Didn't quite get that from The Killer, but
Part of the impression
not
I
to say
get from how you choose it is that the thing is, The Killer didn't go over well with a lot of people, and when you watch it, I think you can understand why. And so it's like if it's a recommendation, it has a bunch of asterisks next to it. It's like, you shouldn't be expecting this. You shouldn't be expecting this. When you see certain things happen, try to think about them as the blah blah blah. And it's like, wow, this is a recommendation, but you have to do all this. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was aware of the attitude towards it when I went into reviewing it, and it's almost like, yeah, I had to sort of play defense for the movie, like in the initial part of the review. And when you have to do that, it's like tough to give it a drinker recommends, because clearly a lot of people would disagree with you. And it's like, well, okay, it's more just it's a good film, and if you go into it with the correct expectations, then you will get a lot out of it. But
Yeah, for the record, I think it's an amazingly excellently written film, but I understand a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, "Why haven't you done like a breakdown of it?" It's like, maybe I will, but like it was my film of 2023. I watched it like 4 times, I think. Throw showing it to 3 other people, and with each time I was just like, "Fuck me, this script is so good." Um, but like so many reviews that I saw were just, like, this is boring, this is lame, he's not very competent, I don't get the fucking point of the whole film. Wow, he went all that way just for that to happen, that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh
Mhm.
shit. Like,
the,
yeah.
the whole picture's become more complicated for me as well with my various channels, because like I've got the extra shot series, which is again a lot of movies that, particularly older ones or slightly more obscure ones or whatever, that I really enjoyed, but perhaps aren't like relevant enough for the main channel, and so that's where they've gone. But it's almost like they are like secondary drinker recommends, if that makes sense. I don't, some of them are like obviously absolute classics, like 12 Angry Men. Like if there was enough interest in it, I would have put that as a drinker recommends on the main channel. But obviously, when you're talking about a film from like 60, 70 years ago, there's not going to be a huge amount of interest from people watching it. So I guess that's the reason for it. But yeah,
Mhm.
all of this is to say that I'm terrible at managing my own content. And like, it probably ends up being a bit confusing for people. Dick Chocolate says Pedro Pascal for the new Batman. Uh, there was a very telling tweet that got a lot of likes the other day, and it was like, name a bigger downgrade, and it was like John Krasinski as Reed Richards, then Pedro Pascal like photoshopped in as Reed Richards, and I just thought, I kind of agree. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him as an actor, because he is actually really good when he's properly harnessed. I'm getting a bit of like Pedro Pascal fatigue I think they're trying to put him in everything, and I get that he's flavor of the month, but man, if you overcast him, you're going to start to piss people off because they're just going to get sick of looking at him.
Well, I guess I'm happy to flip back around because there was a time where people were saying that Krasinski we were shown he really wasn't a good fit for Reed, and I remember being like, "What the fuck do you mean? Like that script was awful, and he got killed straight away." It's like we
Yeah,
didn't get to see what he could have done with Reed Richards. So I'm glad that people be like, "Yeah, that was a." I had no problem with him being cast as Reed Richards, Krasinski, but oh
yeah.
well.
Matthew A says it was Paul Dini who wrote the first 2 Arkham games. Okay. Ines Stewart says, "Hello, Drinker and Mauler. Woke Hollywood and Disney need to eat a bag of concrete and harden the fuck up. Love all of the fellowship and great panel. Thanks for everything you do." Cheers, man. Flummoxed Buffoon says, "Thanos is the goat." I think you mean Thanos, but okay. FAMAS 1978 says, "Whenever I rewatch Crouching Tiger, I watch it with the original audio and English subs. Yourselves?" Yes, I'm the same.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm constantly rewatching it or anything, but if I was, that's what I would pick. Naboo says, "On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you folks want to see Kathleen Kennedy deposed as part of Carano's lawsuit?" I don't really care about her being deposed. I'd be more interested to see the internal communications about it, because I think Discovery would be very telling. They're probably scrambling to delete all those emails now. Ray Glendenning says, Gene made a machine. Jojo made it go. Art blew a fart and blew the whole damn thing apart. Zed. Beautiful.
All right.
Magmoor says, random thought. Alien Covenant is the gritty reboot of the episode of Data Lore from TNG, but with Michael Fassbender instead of Brent Spiner. I understood that reference. Nice. Yeah, I don't know how to put this in short form so that you would understand more, but Data is like an android in Star Trek The Next Generation, and he's very good at what he does, and he's a member of the crew, and he's very valued. But there was a prototype made around the same time as him called Lore, who's got the ability to feel emotions, but as a result, he can't really regulate them, and so he became like evil twin brother type guy. And yeah, that's kind of like what Fassbender is in Alien Covenant.
Fucking
Except
hate Alien Covenant.
Yeah, well, I hate both of those films. Janan Klassen says, "Let me throw Masters of the Air into the recommend list." I don't know. After episode 4, that was a bit weak. I'm still enjoying it, and I'm still invested in it to watch it all the way through, but episode 4 was a bit of a shit one. So hopefully it picks up. Emir says, "Hello, Drinker and Mauler. Have you seen Dracula Untold? Underrated. Luke Evans was class. Moot point, but should have led to Dark Universe." I don't remember it being much. Like, I don't think that movie made much of an impact on me, if I'm honest.
EFAP movies, number 3 is Dracula Untold. Wolf felt the need to show me and Rags it because neither of us had seen it, and he said it's one of the cringiest films he's ever seen. And we watched it, and there is so much shit in that film that makes no fucking sense at all. But hey, you know what? It's just funny because do you know what happens in terms of them baiting the Dark Universe in that film?
I can't remember at this point. It's been a
It's
long
that
time.
Dracula, we get his whole history, and then he's back up to the modern world, and the one who bit him, being Charles Dance, is also there, and he's like in a suit, and he's walking like I think into the camera, and he's talking about how like Dracula is about to become a part of a bigger universe, and he's like, "Let the games begin." It's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you just picture like Frankenstein is in his house, and you know he turns up and he's like, "Have you ever wanted to be a part of the Avengers?"
Oh, it's so dumb. I can see why that Dark Universe never got going. Like,
They
god damn,
tried
that was
several times,
yeah.
but nope.
They really did. Zax the Defiler. If Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and The Voyage Home were considered a trilogy, where would it rank amongst movie trilogies? I mean, it's not up there with the very best of them. Like, I wouldn't put it up there with Lord of the Rings or Back to the Future, but it's a sort of upper mid tier trilogy, I would say. I'll probably wait until Mahler's seen the 4th one before he can decide.
Yeah.
But
Soon
yeah,
enough.
yeah. But it's been great fun watching them again. Is Haplo says, "Sorry guys, got to go. Tucker is interviewing Putin right now." Oh yeah, how'd that go? There's so many memes that came out after that. Casey Boyd says, Drinker, what did you think of Attack on Titan in season 1 when Armin told Eren, weren't we going to see the ocean? To me, it established character development, stakes, motivation, and focus of the plot. So, what was the context of that again? Yeah, that was like their childhood longing to get beyond the walls of like the city and see the outside world, because they never like seen the ocean, they never seen mountains or anything. Their entire world is like 50 miles across, and even that starts to shrink after like the first season because they lose one of the outer defenses. Yeah, I just thought it was always like trying to remind them of like their dreams and like not to get too bogged down in the fighting that they're doing. That there still has to be a world beyond this, and there has to be a life beyond this when it's all over. I guess that's what I took from it. Andrew McCarthy says Rocket's backstory is like One Piece's backstories. Yeah, I guess so. Andrew Lee says, to anyone or everyone on the panel, what is a movie you appreciate for being well made but don't personally enjoy? Ooh, that's a good question. I think we've had this before where it's like, I think previously I'd referenced like The Godfather, although I've sort of changed my opinion on that. But yeah, previously it had been like, yeah, I recognize this is a really well made film. It just doesn't appeal to me on it's like emotional level.
I'm certain there are several films that fit this. I'm just gonna go find like it's because every once in a while I visit the best films of all time sort of lists to be like, all right, let's find something I haven't seen yet. And then every once in a while I watch one and I'm like, wow, that was really well written, but I just didn't care about it,
I mean, probably 2001: A Space Odyssey is a good example of that. It's like one of Stanley Kubrick's finest works. But it's not like I feel compelled to rewatch it particularly. It's just not like the kind of I don't know. Maybe exciting is the wrong word, but like it's not the kind of sci-fi that I look for where it's just super slow and super cerebral, and it's all about the intellectualization, I suppose, of their situation. So maybe that's an example, I guess.
You wouldn't be the first person to say it about that. Another one people say it about is Blade Runner, but that's one I.
Ooh, they need to take that back right now. Some people are
there's gonna be
wrong.
people who say that about Space Odyssey, right? So I try to be fair and open. I'm like, okay, fine. Everybody has their films that they feel that way about. I'm still looking at lists. So it's like some of these I'm like, some of these I don't like love as much as the next person, but I'm trying to find one that I consider like that I just don't get maybe, or just don't feel anything for despite its sort of fame. You know what? You can read the next one. I'll find it.
All right. Issy Boyd, at the end of Thing, didn't the Thing technically win? It was trying to freeze again, and I think it's been confirmed Childs was infected. So, yeah, I mean, it's it's open to interpretation. One, whether or not he was infected. People always cite the fact that you can't see his breath, that he was the Thing. But also, you don't know what McCready's going to do. Potentially, he might end up trying to kill him before he freezes to death. Maybe he's just like waiting for his opportunity. The movie ends on a very ambiguous note. Like, yeah, potentially it could try and freeze itself again. It doesn't know whether it's actually going to get discovered again or what. So I'm not sure. But yeah, it's for me, it was always a nicely ambiguous ending of not knowing whether one or both of them is potentially infected and what's going to actually happen to them. The best case scenario is that neither of them is, but they're probably going to die anyway of exposure. So it's not a happy ending of a film, but it's a good film. Star Trekker says Guardians 1 is the best. Guardians 2 is good, but I was annoyed that Yondu died. Guardians 3, too much time is put into Rocket's backstory. Peter's backstory was done in 10 minutes flat, and all you want in a sci-fi fun film. It's a tricky one. You know what it feels like? It always reminded me of like a TV episode where a main character like gets knocked out in the first 5 minutes, and most of the show is made up of like clips of their past exploits or something, or whatever led up to that. It kind of feels like that. It was an oddly structured film, I suppose.
I am
The backstory bits for Rocket I thought were effective. It's just, yeah, I'm not sure I would have done it in quite the same way, but
I saw the writing was shit. I don't know. Like the Guardians 3, like so much stuff they fucked up on in terms of points they wanted to make. We did like a 7-hour thing on it for anybody who's curious about the arguments, because I can't even necessarily remember all of them now. But Guardians 1 I love. Guardians 2 I think is rocky, and I understand the arguments people make. The big problem for that film, I think there's no clear thrust. Things sort of just, like they spend so long with Kurt Russell that you as a viewer are like, so he's evil because we can't do anything else. We've not set anything else in motion, so he has to be evil for this film to like have an ending. And so you're just waiting for the reveal, So when they find the skulls and stuff, it's something that even annoyed me in Guardians 2 is how Kurt Russell as Ego, he's not retarded. So when he says like, "That's why I put the tumor in your mum's head" or whatever, I love the Peter's reaction to it, but I just don't buy that he would have been stupid enough to just say that.
Yeah,
Like,
it seemed like a really clunky, like forced admission there.
I would have preferred someone else for it. But yes, I like Guardians 2 a lot as well. But then 3, I was just fucking annoyed by. I thought it was really bad.
Driving ahead, love the show. Please watch Percy Jackson and the Olympians. All right. Casey Boyd, once again, I recommend Mob Psycho 100 from Waller. Same creator as One Punch Man, and it's a pretty short series, half the length of Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, fair enough.
Corey Steigen, Signs terrified me. Fun fact, the aliens are not extraterrestrial, they're actually demons. You never see any alien technology, they're malicious, etc. That's an interesting point, I suppose. Zach's, sorry.
Is that like a fan theory, or is that confirmed by Shamamalambo? Because that, honestly, that man is full of those where you go, wow, that's a really cool idea. Imagine they did have a story where everyone assumed it was aliens because of the way they looked or whatever, but they came from like below, It's kind of like Gears of War, or if you make them come from an alternate dimension. I don't know. It's just, that sounds like an interesting sort of twist, but that doesn't save Signs, IMO.
Yeah. I always love how Scary Movie parodied it.
That's funny as hell. I love Scary Movie 3. It's great.
When his wife's been cut in half by the car, you think I can fit in a few minutes with the bottom half?
He explains with the donut.
I'm gonna need a ride home. Zax the Defiler says, I never watched Star Trek Nemesis, Rise of Skywalker, or the third Hobbit film because the previous ones were so bad. I don't blame you in the slightest. Never watched Star Trek Nemesis. It's terrible. Or Rise of Skywalker for that matter. Casey Boyd, you guys ever watch Arrow? What are your thoughts? Nope, I never watched the Arrowverse stuff. Sorry, just didn't
Neither
care.
did I.
D's Nuts says, I have YouTube Premium. Do you guys get any revenue from my views? I've watched hundreds of hours of EFAP and all of your videos, Drinker. Hope you get something. I think we do, don't we? You get like YouTube Premium revenue.
They give you like a stat on you. So I don't know how the system works exactly, but I guess you pay for preview, red, premium, whatever. Then you watch stuff, and so depending on your watch time, it'll split like your payments monthly to that, to partly to the view creator as well. Like, I don't know how they do it, but yeah.
Shared revenue. Tubby says, Muller, why do you love Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League so much? I know, Muller.
I'm finally done with that piece of shit. I had to edit. I didn't want to edit it, but I had to with just how things worked out. The supercut of me playing it, which is it's on Moolah now. It's just the 4 hours of me killing myself over and over again. But it's good because as I said, and this is something I just want to maintain. I always want to know the context fully of a thing. I'm never quite comfortable with like, this thing is awful when I'm not 100% sure of what. Say for example, like those clips that were going around, nobody believed that there was context that made them better, and you go and find out the context makes them worse. And you're like, okay, but you still want to know.
Yeah,
at least I do. I want to make sure.
Aben Terblanche says, we'll wait for the answer to this one. What do you think of the Raymond E. Feist series adaptation? Will they learn, or will it be like Wheel of Time? You might have to wait a while for that one, my friend, because I'm not familiar with it. But thank you. Joe Call says, The Ring. I watched it in a tent in the middle of the desert at night during the Iraq invasion. And someone who had seen it snuck in and called our camp phone at just the right time. Brilliant.
Damn.
Casey Boyd says, you have to admit Looper was a great ending, or had a great ending, because he kills himself. We at least know there won't be a sequel. That is true, yes. So that's nice.
They had me for a second, man.
Yeah.
That ending makes no fucking sense. It was like, oh, right, okay.
That is in the first half. Dennis Kiergaards gave us 10 DKK KRs. What would that be? Danish kronas, maybe? Oh, well, thank you anyway.
The Crumbos.
And Zax the Defiler says, will you be appearing in your film at all, a la Peter Jackson? Maybe. But if I am, it won't be for more than like a second or two
Gonna
because
eat a
I'm not.
carrot and brie. Is that gonna be your
Yeah,
thing?
and burp. But I am not an actor, and I've got no aspirations to be one. So I'm happy to let the professionals do the good stuff. But yeah, might make a little cameo. We'll see. You'll find out soon enough. It won't be too long till the film's ready to release. So anyway, that is the last of our super chats. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. And just as a little FYI, there's not going to be an open bar this week because I'm going to be away for a few days on business. So yeah, might have to wait until the following week, but I'll try and do like a Ask the Drinker stream or something in between. And Mo, you and I might just watch a Star Trek movie at some point over the next week or so.
Hell yeah. And I'll stream some Arkham game on that Thursday to fill the
Yeah.
hole that is left behind.
An actual good game for a
Oh,
change.
yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate all the super chats. And that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.